everyone. Welcome to the Paris Movie Awards. This is the 2026 edition, 16th edition, and we have an international discussion today. I have one short film and one script, and we're going to talk filmmaking, we're going to talk art, and we're going to talk movies. And I am with Marco, Wynn, and Jose. Guys, how are you doing?
Fine,
Great.
thank you.
Excellent. Marco, can you tell me a little bit about you and a little bit about your project?
Yes, I'm Marco from Berlin in Germany. I'm normally I'm an actor in German TV series, cop series, and
Okay.
I always had an idea for a story in my mind for I think about for 15 years, and yeah, 2 years ago, I decided together with my cameraman, my DOP, who said, "Hey, we have to realize this story. I like it, and we have to do it." And we decided to make a little short movie of it. Yeah, and it's to put it in a nutshell, it's about loneliness, but with a happy end.
Yeah. When Jose, you have the same script, you collaborated on the same project. Who wants to? Let's start with Wynn. Give us a little bit of your background and who you are as a writer.
I'm talking to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA. Um, I've been writing for a long, long time. Most of my professional writing experience has been academic, which I suppose puts me in a good position to collaborate with Jose, who I think is extremely creative and has an enormous amount of creative energy. I'm allowed, I can provide him feedback without egos involved and work in developing the story and then the screenplay. Also, I'm a huge film buff, obsessive film buff, so that informs my thinking as well. He and I worked together in the Middle East 14 years ago, and we remained friends throughout, throughout our lives. And we just completed our fifth screenplay. I'll let Jose give you a synopsis of
Yeah. How you doing, Matt? How you doing, guys? I'm from New York City originally. Right now, I'm currently working in the Middle East. I'm in Saudi Arabia right now. But the script that we wrote for the film festival, Death Is Not the End, is based pretty much. It's a standalone film in 5 scripts, even though they have kind of an underlining connection. But it's based on in 1991. It's set in France in 1991, just around the time of the mental institution reformation.
Okay.
And there's a patient there that's a mysterious woman that claims to be the angel of death, and she upends the institution along with the other mental patients to rise against their brutal caretakers. So we wrote the script ambiguously so the audience can think whether or not and make up their own minds if this character, the protagonist, is actually the angel of death or if it's all in her mind.
Yeah.
So that's how we wanted to write it.
The movie's not been produced yet.
No, it's an unproduced script. Yeah.
Okay. How many pages do you have?
It's 109 pages.
Okay, so it's going to be a feature film.
All our scripts are feature films. Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Marco,
but we do. Oops, sorry.
Go ahead, Jose. Finish. Go ahead.
Just as a quick side note, we do have Death Is Not the End. We do have a 20-page script that we want to do a short film based on it.
Okay.
And kind of like Damien Chazelle did with Whiplash, do a 20-minute version in the hopes of them
concept,
getting it financed to become a full-length feature.
Okay. Yeah, it's a strategy that paid off multiple times in the industry. I want to go back to Marco and just so the viewers understand what we're talking about. What's the length? What's the duration of your short film?
It's 21 minutes.
21 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Marco, what made you decide to make a short film instead of feature film or instead of a series or whatever other format? Was it a time
Mhm.
constraint or was it another choice?
No, it was, to be honest, when I told you that I normally, I'm an actor, and
Hmm.
I can tell you every time you're on the set and you are confronted with decisions other people do, sometimes you get the arrogant impression, oh, if I could decide what to do now, I would do
Yes.
something completely different.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that just to have an idea for a short moment doesn't mean that you are able to know the arc of the whole movie or the whole story. So I always said, okay, I would like to decide everything on my own and responsible just for me and my work, and that's why I decided to produce a short movie. It was my money, it was my idea, and I was the director, but I didn't participate as an actor. I could really take a step back to the other side and just to look on it, and I like the idea of walking in my shoes or in walking in other shoes. And I really could learn a lot of the mindset and the fears and the hopes of the other departments, because I really had to live in all these shoes and
Yeah.
to feel what it means to make a decision, and how responsible you have to be, and what it means to have to feel the pressure of time when you're on set. But it was such a wonderful experience. I really wanted to feel it again because we were 20 friends. We produced it in our flat, and my neighbor Annette from downstairs, I sent her away for 4 days, and we were shooting in her room, and it was such a good feeling for us. And despite of everything what happens afterwards, we had this week. We had so many nice experiences,
Yeah.
and we've been so close. It's been a lifetime experience. I don't, or I had to learn that I'm not a director. Um, it's just just to see to be able to realize what I had in mind is one thing, but
Yeah.
I could feel the yeah, how big this job is. Yeah, sorry.
It's a really humble um, thing you did to put yourself in a position to learn how it can be a bigger picture, basically.
Yes.
Because from an actor's perspective, you have your lines, you have your scenes, and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't realize that
Hmm.
there's more to it. Kind of, you need a whole vision,
Hmm.
and when you get to the production or the show running of a show, there are constraints. Like
Hmm.
there are choices and decisions you make because you don't have much choice, because you have a location that goes away, because you have someone who's not available, because you have this and that. So I really like the what you did, because it shows empathy, it shows interest, and it shows
Hmm.
the filmmaking skill, because it's a team effort. So
Hmm.
yeah, I appreciate that. I commend you for that. That brings me to
Thank you.
Wynn and Jose. We're talking about a vision, having a story to tell, having a beginning, a middle, and an end. When you guys started that script, did you have the whole thing outlined, or did you start with a random casual discussion? How did it start?
Tell them about the dream,
Okay,
the
yeah.
Tell
nightmare.
us about the dream.
Yeah, well, what we were in the process of writing another script with the Angel of Death character, and in the middle of that process, I had gotten really sick for about 3 days, and I had never been that sick in my life before. I couldn't even get out of bed just to go to the bathroom. I was like, what's going on here? And in the middle of the sweating and fevers and everything, I pretty much dreamt 80% of the script. And I know it sounds overly dramatic, but I kept hearing a voice every time I was waking up: you have to finish this. You have to finish this script. So it was unusual. It was an unusual way of process of writing that Wynn and I usually do, where we develop the scenes and everything else, and we, after much discussions about it and everything else, we approached this script differently than the other scripts we have written, where we started with the background history of all the characters first in extreme detailed form, because it's a mental asylum. So there's a lot of characters involved. Even though their background stories, a lot of the pieces didn't fit into the script. It wasn't there, but it was there for us enough to know the depths of the characters.
Can I interject something? Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
contained story, but with a lot of characters. When? What was your role, and when did you get involved in the idea after the
Well,
dream? How did you
well,
get into
Jose and I are in contact regularly, and he told me about the nightmare, and I said, "You got to write it down. That's a screenplay right there." Um, but as we talked about it, and we talked about it frequently for months on end, we started doing a lot of historical research because, as you know, France, like the rest of Western Europe and North America, instituted a lot of changes to patient rights in mental institutions about 1990 and thereafter. Before that time, a lot of the patients were subject to over medication and the punitive use of electroshock treatment and warehousing people that were uncomfortable for the stature of their parents, that kind of thing. But one of the interesting things, I think, was that when we developed the characters of the staff or the administration of the asylum, we relied on the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disease that was current at that time, which was pretty generalized. On the other hand, in developing the characters of the patients themselves, we were able to benefit from all the research that had been done since then on, for example, post-traumatic stress and the spin-off, diagnoses related to that. So, as a consequence, I think they're far more sympathetic, and I think one has a more compassionate, view and understanding the kind of dilemmas they're facing. So. Um, that was a big piece of the evolution of this script, just nailing it down because we're both real sticklers for details, down
Yeah.
to what football match is being played on the television that night. And
At that point, yeah, at that time, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we wanted to make sure that we were as accurate as we can conceivably be historically. So I would say it's a historical, mythological, very nice story that happens to be somewhat horrifying with a certain amount of carnage.
Well, it's the angel of death, so there has to be carnage somehow,
it?
some way, right?
At some point. At some point. Back to Marco. So you're an actor, a lot of TV experience for a long time. How did you approach casting for that short film? Because it must be very specific to be an actor and find
Hmm.
someone to act in the movie. Why
Hmm.
why didn't you give yourself the lead role? And can you talk to me about that?
Uh, yeah. First of all, I thought I was 10 years too young for the main part of the short movie,
Makes
and
sense.
it has something to do with the last years of my father, and perhaps I had a problem to see myself as my father. I don't
Makes sense
know.
too.
And because it was the last years of my father was, I think he woke up every morning and he asked himself, what do I have to do?
Yeah.
Beside of breathing, drink my coffee and go to bed again. And I think in this circle, in this loop, a lot of people are in this loop, and I thought, okay, can't there happen something that changes it, and the adventure is knocking on the door and says, hey, you have to wake up again. and give the life a chance, and probably the life will come to you again.
Yeah.
This is the idea. And I had someone in my mind, my main actor, Richard Sammel. I know him for 15 years, and I knew he is perfect for this, because he has a hard face, but he has a big, very bright heart, and you really can see that when you look in his eyes. You're really touched. You're really touched, and I thought, if I don't get Richard for the main, but I don't do that. I don't
Okay,
do
so
that
you
movie,
really,
and
your mind, your heart was set on him, and he
yeah.
was you tied to telling that story or not.
Yes, and he was
How did you
yeah, sorry.
did you have to convince him, or how did you present the project to him?
Yeah, this is one of the big advantages of Richard. He's so curious and so you can enthusiastic about everything, and very well. He works a lot and in international productions, and he has a lot to do. But I sent him the set in December, and the next morning at 9 o'clock, he said, "Okay, where do we have to be? When do we start?" And
By the
as
way,
I like it, and I just, you can tell me everything. I just trust you. Just and
there's
he came in January, first week in January. This is the time where not a lot of productions are going on, so
yeah,
a lot of people have time. And he came from Bilbao to our place. He came in our flat and he said, "Oh, so many nice people. I would like to sleep here. Is it possible?" And with this mood, he took the
yeah.
story, and every time it was a pleasure for me just to give him an advice, and immediately he made it, and I couldn't have done it. So if you ask me why didn't you do that, it's the best choice I did for the movie.
You said that you discovered that you were not the director directing this film. Can you elaborate on that?
No, it's perhaps I've been the director of that little short movie, but I made the experience that to direct something or direct the movie, it's so complex, so big, and you have to take so many mm, responsibilities, and you have to be aware of all these actors. And I just had, you know, my I heard that you have seen my little movie,
Yeah,
and it's not, the cast is not very big. You're almost the whole time with my main actor, and it's very easy to direct just one person. But I know the other side, when when there are five actors in the room, and everyone comes with a certain imagination, a certain picture
multiplies.
image, and he says, "I want to do it, and where do I come from, where do you have to go to, this makes no sense for my character, and
Mhm.
you are the director, and you have to decide in between 10 minutes, because the sun is going down, and this
Yeah.
is a daylight scene. The sun is going down, and you have to find a solution in 10 minutes, that all of them are convinced that they can go out, and they don't lose their face when they play this scene." And to have all this in mind, and to take, I don't want to be a dictator to say, "No, you just played like I said it." I want them to be convinced that it's the right way. And this is very hard, especially when you didn't write on your own the story, and you
Got
went.
you.
I just listen to Wynn and Jose, and you have everything in your mind, and I thought about everything. But if you didn't wrote the script, and you're just sitting there and you said, "Oh wow, I didn't. He's right. The actor's right. This makes no sense. How do I find?" This is very hard. This is very hard, and
It's hard, but
yeah.
sometimes it's harsh. You have an actor. I mean, you wrote a script for months, and then you scheduled the set, and you did everything, and you arrive on location, and one actor tells you that makes no sense, and you're like,
Yes.
how did I miss that? How did I not put myself as the writer,
Yeah.
director,
Yeah.
producer
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
his shoes to understand that that thing is not working? So it takes a lot of humility to say,
Yeah.
okay, I missed it. I missed a big piece of it, but that's what I like as a director because you're always
I would like to ask Jose, Win, sometimes the story is so clear for you because you had it in your mind all the time that you
Mhm.
forgot to type it in the lines because it's so clear, it's so obvious for you that, but it's not obvious for the reader who reads it the first time or the actor. And you see, do you know that? Have you ever made this experience that something is so clear for you that you really forgot to emphasize it in the script?
Yeah, that's why we go over the script maybe 15, 20 times
Yeah,
over to ensure that, wait a second, this part here, remember we talked about it, but it's not here. Where'd it
yeah,
go? And
yeah,
then,
yeah.
oh my God, we have to put it all together again. It's and just fill in those pieces.
It's
But
also
I,
what
And
I, I
I'd say, yeah, so I'd say also, fortunately, we have a good relationship, and we're both kind of rough around the edges. So frequently, I'll say, I don't know what this means. What did you write? I have no idea
yeah.
what that means.
Yeah.
What is it? What are you saying? What are you really saying?
And then I'll, being the writer, the creative writer, I'll be like, well, it's, with the stars and the moon and the philosophy,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
Wynn
yeah,
is
right.
like, it makes
it
no
has
sense to me.
to it has to translate into an understandable script. So
Hmm.
then the
Yes.
director can also take it and push it to the next level. But for
Yeah,
the script
yeah.
and what you're asking about, Marco, one thing that helped me in my experience quite a bit was table reads. When you get with actors,
Hmm.
not necessarily the actors that are going to make the movie, even some friends and whatever, and you read the whole thing all together in the same room, sometimes it does put on display some aspects like this doesn't feel right, this doesn't
Hmm.
make sense with what just happened before, this doesn't connect with the way the character was behaving 15 pages before. So that helps me to kind of have that not a rehearsal but just a table read to
Hmm.
have people embody the words. I don't know if you guys do that, but I did it for most of my short films.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, we send the script to very close friends,
yeah,
and they read it, and then they'll tell us,
outside
to do
eyes.
that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Jose and Win, how does it work, the collaboration? Because when you write something, it's intimate, it's personal. Uh, how do you how does it work? How do you correct each other? How do you edit the new draft you receive? Do you have boundaries? Do you have limits? Do you have a playbook for that?
Well, I think we're really fortunate in that we we argue a lot, but it's productive, and I don't think either one of us has our ego hung up on it. Sometimes I'll read something, I say, I don't think it works, and Jose says, no, I really, really like it because of this or that. I say, okay, we'll keep it in. I don't care. It's your epitaph. Whatever. And then the next day, maybe he'll say, well, let's look at it. So we go back and forth, but we're old enough and we've written enough, and that for some reason we're able to work. And each screenplay has been completely different in terms of the process. You know,
Yeah,
the one
the
we just, yeah, sorry. The one we just completed, we did in 12 days. We met up in Alicante, Spain. We've been doing research on it for, I don't know, 6 or 9 months, whatever. And we just kind of holed up and
yeah,
knocked it out in 12 days. So,
yeah. One thing that's a truism is that we discuss first in detail for months or weeks on end, what we're really trying to capture thematically. Even though the scripts are horror films, they're not your typical atypical slasher horror films at all. So yeah,
yeah, actually, and originally we didn't intend to write a horror film. It just,
right. We never did. It just turned that
you
way.
know,
It just,
yeah,
yeah.
And
yeah,
out, yeah, it, yeah, it
just
happens.
evolved.
Did you guys have a mood board in mind? References, images? When you talk, like, do you say that? Have you seen that scene in The Exorcist or in I don't know, Obsession and visual
Oh,
references that you share?
Yeah, absolutely. We lean on a lot of the influences. So, for example, we wrote a script called Psychopomp Gaigokujin, where it takes place in Japan, and we're yakuza film buffs, Takashi Miki, Sino Sono, and I watched probably 100 yakuza films just for that script alone, and kind of I love this scene in this particular film where we put the angel of death with the archangel Gabriel in the
Hmm.
middle of a rainy, muddy cemetery playing the Japanese version of chess. And so it was something like from the Seventh Seal. And also, Pan's Labyrinth was a huge influence for Death is Not the End, as well as the Seventh Seal and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So we do lean on those influences because we're such
Yeah,
film
and
buffs.
yeah, and I think the fact that we're both big film buffs uh, enables us to catch, I think, most of the time, if there's been some kind of convergence. Maybe we include a scene that's been done in another film and we hadn't even seen the film, but it can be a cultural convergence. So we always try to be vigilant about, not parroting something that's already been done.
Have you guys seen The Devil's Backbone by Guillermo del
Yeah,
Toro?
Oh,
yeah.
That
The
what
Devil's
you just
three
Backbone.
times,
described,
three
what you
times.
just described, put that movie back in my mind right away. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
he's
I
great.
think one of the yeah I think one of the most horrifying films recently was Surat, the Spanish film. And it wasn't a horror film per se, but it took me through the same gamut of emotions of a horror film.
Yeah. Back to Marco. I have a question for you. From the script to the set, and then to the monitor. How how did you prepare for your film, for your script, to look the way you wanted it to look on the screen?
I I discussed a lot of with my DOP before we start shooting. We decided first we said it has to be a little bit like a fairy tale, and
Mhm.
we've been influenced by the idea of I don't know if you remember the movie Amelie, the fabulous world
Yes,
of Amelie, and this
I mean,
is this had I just listened very carefully because um I have the same opinion like Wynn. I don't want to put something in my movie or my script that I've seen already before, but I'm quite sure that I'm um influenced without reflecting that I'm influenced. Sometimes an idea finds the way in the movie or in the look or in the and it's you can compare it to some other movies. And for example, I had an idea of Amelie in my mind. I think you don't feel it when you see it. You don't see it anymore, but it was our first idea. Um, and I wanted to have kind of a cinematic look, like warm colors and open lens, and that was I like it very much. Yeah,
your
and
film definitely is very cinematic. There's a lot of texture, and the color palette is very specific. It makes it very palpable. The emotions the
mhm.
character goes through and the story itself, I I felt goes through the colors and the way it's framed and filmed. Same question. I mean, the DOP. Did he bring you a lot of ideas? Did you talk lenses, or did you show him references, shots? Did you give him a lot of freedom? How did that collaboration work?
Yeah, we sat together for c- weeks to make a short list, and we've been very prepared for every shot. We had a detailed shot list how to do it, and we had to change it sometimes because you have to improvise something. The time is running out, and you have to change it. But we really had a very clear idea of it before, and so in a way, it was a traditional shooting. It was not
Okay.
very handheld. It was very steady, and
Steady on tripod. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
it's
yeah,
a very clean movie
yeah,
in that
yeah,
sense, good way. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like the character. It is
yeah.
steady. It is
Right.
calm. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. And yes, but we had a very mm, we planned every scene, and we were talking about some other movies, and then our my cameraman, or my the DOP, sorry, he proposed some pictures, some color proposals. Who said, "Okay, what do you like? Do you feel this? Do you feel this?" And yes, and we said, okay, we go in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a collaboration.
It was
Yeah,
a good collaboration. Sounds like it.
yeah.
Um, so Jose and Wen, do you have any when you write the script, do you sometimes visualize the camera moves, the tracking
Every time,
movements and stuff like that?
every time,
Because some
every time.
people do, some people don't, and there are two different approaches to scripts, especially in LA and Hollywood. Um, some like the scripts without any camera information.
Hmm.
Some other people like to have camera information because it informs already the kind of the mood and the direction a bit. How do you position yourself on that scale?
Well, when I write the script, I don't put the camera angles or anything like that, just simply because of the real estate. We want to make sure that we try to keep it 120 pages and under. Uh,
Mhm.
but however, I know every single camera angle in my head for every single scene, and exactly what I would want. So, for example, one of our scripts, Familiar Realm, I know I want the same kind of camera that Stanley Kubrick used
Mhm.
for 2001. I want that very rich color and everything else for that film, even though that film was a horror film. But as far as that's concerned, the technicalities and everything else, we don't include it in the script. But definitely, for sure, it's all in my head. I know for all 5 scripts we've written, I know where all the camera angles are. But the great thing about it is when I do want to direct, and I'm so glad I'm hearing Marco talk about directing and the challenges of it, because that's great to hear this. It's very educational. I do know that happy accidents happen on set. So maybe the DOP will be like, Joe, maybe if we shoot it from this angle here, what do you think? And that's great, man, because collaboration is everything, and it should be like a family on set. So it's wonderful hearing Marco talk about it. Oh, I mean, what do
Win,
you think, Win?
Win, do you feel the same?
Well, yeah, when I read the script, I see it, and um, although the technical side of the angles isn't included, um, I think that the descriptors, provide a lot of information as to how things are going to be set up. So, and many times that's the issue. We'll talk about the particular scene and what's in the background and all this kind of thing. So, I suppose in some ways that underpins, that. So, but I see it as I watch, as I read it. Yeah.
Do
Just
you guys
just
go
just
ahead, Marco? Yeah.
I would like to ask Jose and when just one question. How do you deal with disappointment when you have something very clear in your mind, how the scene has to look like, and then you see the result, and um, even especially when you don't write detailed the camera angles in the script because you want to be under 120 pages, um,
Yeah.
but so you have it in your mind and then you see it and it will, yeah, probably different than your imagination, probably better or probably worse, but how do you deal with that, because isn't it a big disappointment?
Well, the one thing that I take from is Martin Scorsese, where he said, shoot everything that's in your head and then shoot all the accidents that happen on set. So what you do is you make sure that you do shoot everything. And what's in your head sometimes it doesn't come out the right way or anything like that, and you just wow, this works much better. That's why collaboration, I think, is extremely important when making a film. If you have a dictator on set, I don't think the film's going to come out the way it should. So
it reminds me of Henri Cartier-Bresson. He used to take thousands of photographs, but yet we would see ones that seemed to be magical in the moment, but he would sort through thousands. So
And it's movie magic. I mean, you do it 5, 10, 20 times, and people are only gonna see one take. And sometimes the same scene is gonna be take 1 on that angle and take 5 on this angle, and you mix it up together, you mash it up together, and people are never gonna know the puzzle you recreated from many different pieces. So I think it's about keeping an open mind, because from the script to the set to the editing room, then it's many different opportunities to tell the same story, and you're just lucky if the story stays the same from the beginning to the end of the process. Because sometimes you write something and you realize you have to rearrange the editing to tell a slightly different story for the movie itself to work. So it's the relationship from script to the screen is really interesting to me. So many things can happen, good and bad and different and surprising, that definitely it's pretty cool. Do you guys have any questions, any more questions for each other?
Oh, it's wonderful to hear Marco's story. I actually want to see his movie. Where can we see it? Where's the link? I want it now.
It's all the screenings for the PAMA are online, right here actually. All the online screenings are free, but I think Marco's movie, I don't know at the top of my head if it's online or if it's if it's in Paris, but everything is accessible. Check the website of the PAMA, and you get all the links and all of that. Online screenings are definitely free, so you could definitely watch the movie and have a good time. Guys, thank you so much for being there with me today. Appreciate it. Again, very cool to have writers talk to actor/director. Pretty cool. You see the difference of perspective. Yeah,
Marco, you are a director. You are a director, Marco.
Thank you, Jose. First, take a look at the movie, okay?
I'm sure it's great.
The movie is selected at the PAMA, so the movie is good. Believe me. We don't take bad movies.
I hope so.
Okay. Guys, thank you very much. Have a very good rest of your day in Boston and Middle East and all the places you guys are at. Okay. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Jose. Wynn, Matt. Ciao.